Good morning. Welcome to a new week. We're going to try a new idea. There's a definition you need, and it's really simple. It's the definition is of a secant, S-E-C-A-N-T. There it is, a secant. A secant is just a line that intersects a circle at two different points. Okay, so we have the tangent, which only touches the circle at one point. Now we have the secant, which is a line that intersects at two different points. So I have two secants here. They cut through the circle, and the reason they're called secants and not called diameters is because they don't go through the center of the circle. Obviously, that's different. Now, what it says that is if you have two secants and they intersect on or inside the circle, all right, there are certain things we can tell about their angles in relation to their arcs. Okay, so I'm going to work on this first video just talking about the three types of problems you're going to have when your secants intersect inside the circle. Okay, so the first video, the first idea is if secants intersect inside the circle, okay, then the angle measure inside is going to be half of the intercepted arcs. Okay, and that's it's going to be a little interesting. It's going to be half the sum of the intercepted arcs and its vertical angle. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little bit of what I mean. Okay, so there's an example. I'm going to give you an example here. I'm going to say this is 60, and I'm going to say this is 40. Okay, 60 and 40. And so what this says is that if I want to know this angle here, I'll call it angle 1, all I have to do is add these two arcs together and then cut them in half. Okay, so I need to add the two arcs together. 60 plus 40 equals 100. So angle 1, here's the actual formula. Angle 1 is equal to 1/2, and I'll call this A, B, and C, and D. Okay, 1/2 arc AB plus arc CD. Sorry, I didn't get out ahead of that. And there's the formula. Very simple idea. So I know that my sum is 100. So angle 1 is equal to 1/2 60 plus 40. And so angle 1 is equal to 1/2 of 100. And therefore angle 1 is equal to 50. All right, so if angle 1 is 50, this is a vertical angle, and that's 50 as well. All right, so there is the first type of problem you're going to see. And while that's all well and good, I'm just trying to get down to the next part. You're going to see more types of problems that don't necessarily give you all of the answers. All right. So they're going to give you the type of answer, the type of problem that says, hey, I'm not going to give you this guy here. I'm going to give you the interior angle here, and let's just say this is 70. All right, it's going to be much bigger, and this isn't going to be true to the sizes, but I want you to be able to use the formula and not just look at proportions. So I'll leave this as I'll make this 80 out here. So this is 80, this is 70. And remember, the formula says that the angle is equal to 1/2 the sum of the two arcs. So AB plus CD, and those are the two arcs that I have here. And so I have the measure of the angle, and I have one of the arcs. And I can do a lot with this. I can rewrite the formula, and that's what I really want you to do. Or I can just plug in what I have, distribute the half to it, and then do some math. It's a higher level skill, like I was talking about before, if you could solve the formula for one of the pieces. And I'm going to rewrite it so that you understand it, but that's going to be a different video. I'm just going to go ahead and plug the numbers in as I see them. I'm going to say 70 is equal to 1/2, and then my parentheses, 80 plus x. Now here's my problem. I have a number and a variable inside parentheses. I have to distribute my 1/2 to both pieces. So I have to multiply both of these things inside by 1/2. So I'm going to give myself some room out here, and I'm going to do my distribution. 1/2 times 80 is 40, and then 1/2 times x is 1/2 x, or x over 2. That's another skill you could learn, but I'm going to keep solving this the way you solve any other equation, is undo that addition piece. So minus 40 on both sides. I have 30 equals 1/2 of x. Okay? And I'm going to show you how to reason things out on the other side. But this is just solving it algebraically. Now, I want to undo this 1/2. But I want to rewrite it first. How do we do cutting something in half? Well, we multiply it by 2, multiply both sides by 2, and 60 equals x. Okay, so 2 cancels out with 2. We have 1x left over, and 2 times 30 is 60. And we can get this because we know that this is half of the sum of those. So if I double this, then I know what the sum of these two things has to be. And we could have reasoned it out that way. So I solved the equation. I did the hard part first. And so now I want to go back and show you the easy way, just by looking at it. And maybe talk yourself through it. You say to yourself, if 70 is half of the sum of those two arcs, then the sum of those two arcs, then 80 plus x has to equal 140, because that's double that. right? This is half of 140. So I can say, oh, well, the sum of these two things has to equal 140. And that's so much easier than doing all of that heavy lifting. We do come up with our 60. All right, so there are two ways to do it. You can reason it out, or you can solve the algebraic equation. In a much later video, I'm going to show you how to rewrite the equations so that you know how to go ahead and solve for one of the variables, one of the other variables. And last but certainly not least, you're going to be given, if I'm not mistaken, okay, you're going to be asked to solve for this guy out here, and you're only going to be given the angle measures themselves. So let's just say this is 50, 55, and this is 45. All right, 55 and 45. And then we're going to have to find this angle right here. And what we have to do is solve for this, because this and this are going to equal 180 because they exist on a line. So this is actually a quite simple idea. We just say that this angle here, and I'm going to call it angle X for now. I'm going to say that X is equal to 1/2 times the sum of 55 and 45. And then I'm going to start to solve. So X is equal to 1/2. What is that? 100 again? Oh, what am I doing? Me and my hundreds. Okay, so X is equal to 50. Well, if X is equal to 50, I can take myself one step farther than 1 is equal to 180 minus 50, right? Because these two things are supplementary. These two angles are supplementary. They're adjacent to each other on a line. Therefore, they have to equal 180. So 180 minus 50 equals angle 1, and angle 1 therefore equals 130 degrees. And now I know this isn't proportional. It's pretty close, but it's not really proportional. But those are the three types of problems that you're going to have to solve with this exact type of problem. Now I'm going to come in with another video that talks about the second part of the idea of secants. We're going to have a secant and a tangent, and we're going to be able to figure out what the angle measure is by using the arcs again. Okay, so I'll be right back.